Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Zoe ZT-QS7 AC-DC clamp multimeter. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So let's get this open. So we have a carrying case here. Looks like we have a tether. Let's see where that goes. It might go on the meter. Oh yeah, it goes on here. So you can mount the tether. And there's the meter, but let's take a quick look at the manual. So this has the different specs on here for all the voltage, capacitance. This talks about the different parts. So this is a very small thing. It might be helpful to have a magnifying glass or maybe just photocopy the page and make it larger. So these are instructions on using it. Okay, let's take a look at the meter itself. So we have the meter, and then we have the probes, and we have a temperature probe. On this, there's plastic over the screen here. Let's pull that off, and there's plastic here. So this will need some batteries, so I'll get a screwdriver. So this is going to take two AAA batteries. Get those installed. Let's see if this will turn on. Okay, it's on. Let me get the probes out real quick. So these are going to have covers here. So if you're working with higher voltage, you can keep those on. If you're working with electronics, you might want to take those off. I'll leave them on for now. I may need to take them off in a little bit. And there are plugs in these ends. So before I plug them in, let's look at this. This has a hard plastic body, has a clamp here, button on the side, has a knob to adjust it. Looks like there's a little grip here on top, but I can't really seem to move it with that. It just is easy to move it on the side. Then to clamp on, we do that. Let's put the leads in. So black will go into COM, red will go into input. I want to make sure I press those all the way down. There's a little bit of friction there. And now let's look at the features on this. So we have voltage, AC, DC, and duty cycle. Here we have capacitance, diode, continuity, and resistance. Here we have 6 amps, 60 amps, and 100 amps. And then we have temperature and non-contact voltage. So this is true RMS, has auto power off. So let's go to volts. So let's try this here. It says select. So if we press select, we're going to have DC here. If we press again, we have AC. Again, we have Hertz. And then duty cycle. So let's go to the next mode. Oh, then we also have relative and peak and range. So I don't think that's, I guess it will change maybe millivolts and volts, but that will probably be more relevant when you're reading something. So the next mode we have ohms. So if we hit range here, let's see. So it's going between kilo ohms, mega ohms. Again, when you're reading something, you could press that range to change the resolution. So we have continuity. Let's try that. Don't seem to be getting a beep there. Maybe I'm in the wrong mode. Oh, there we go. And then we have diode, capacitance. Next we have amperage. So we have AC and DC, and we have that on each of these. And here we have temperature. So we have Celsius, Fahrenheit, and we have EF, and I think that would be the non-contact voltage. Let me try that. Yep. So this is a non-contact voltage detector up here, so you can test to see if your wire is hot. Let's try the temperature probe while we're in this mode. So we have black and red here. We'll switch to Fahrenheit, and we're at 77. So I'll put my fingers over this, and we're seeing that raise up. So if you're working on some refrigeration equipment or something, you can use that. Let's go back to our regular terminals. So let's try some voltages. Here I have a power cord. So if you don't know how to measure AC properly, you'll want to find that out first. And we're on DC mode. Let's switch to AC. So we're getting 122.5 volts. Let me measure hot to ground. And we're getting 122 there. Let's try some DC voltages. So I have a battery here. We're measuring 9.24, and I'm measuring backwards, so it was negative. Let me do it the right way. 9.25. Here we have a AAA battery. We're getting 1.429. Now, how you contact that can have a difference on how you measure the voltage, so you want to make sure you have good pressure. If you have a dirty surface, you might want to scrape away a little bit of the corrosion. Let's go to the next mode, and we have resistance. So I have a resistor here. So let's measure this resistor. And we have 0.4 ohms. Let's go to diode. Here I have a diode. Let's measure it. So I'm going to measure it one direction. And I got 0.198. Let's measure it the other, and this should be 0. Make sure I have contact, and we're 0 there, so we know that diode is good. And let's see, next we have capacitance. So here I have a capacitor. It's an electrolytic, so I want to make sure I have the black on the negative. And sometimes it can take a second, so you want to hold your probes on there, and we're at 107.5. And this is 120, so we know that's within range. Here we have a 330, also electrolytic. And here we're getting 81. So that is not right. So if we look at this, it's bulged at the top because this is a bad capacitor. So you can use this to test for bad capacitors. So those are traditional multimeter functions. Now let's test the clamp meter. So I don't need these in it, so I'll pull these out. I'm sure it would probably still work with them in. I have an AC load here, that's a fan. Now if you're testing a plug-in device, you're going to need a splitter. If you're doing something like a furnace, you may have access to the individual wires, but we want to only measure one of the wires at a time. So I'll plug into that, and I'll plug the fan in here. And this should be pretty low amp, so I'll go to 6. I want to make sure I'm at AC, and I'll clamp around the 1X here, and I'll turn this on. So here we can see the amperage. Now there's hold on the side. So I can press hold so we don't have to have this on here anymore. And we can see it's 0.35. So with a splitter like this, a lot of these will have a 10x mode, so you can clamp onto that, and that will make the reading 10 times higher, so then you divide by 10. So if you have more sensitive loads, you can use that 10x mode. So if you're testing a motor on something, you could use that AC clamp meter to see if amperage is going to the motor. Here I have a DC load. I have a lithium iron phosphate battery connected up to a 1000 watt inverter. I have the fan plugged into it. So on this, I will switch it to DC amps. And this is at 6 amps. I think that's going to be enough. We'll try it. And I'll clamp on the negative. So I'm getting 0. Let me turn this on. There we go. And I'm getting 0.092. This is going to have a standby current. Let me turn on the fan. And with the fan on, we got 0.393. So I could use the voltmeter on here to measure the voltage, and I could take the voltage times the amperage and find out the wattage of the inverter plus the fan connected into it. So a clamp meter like this could be great for automotive use. This could be really good for an RV. RV has DC and AC systems, so you could use something like this to work on your battery and on your AC circuits. So that's the Zoyi ZT-QS7 AC-DC clamp multimeter. There's lots of nice functionality in this. It's very small, doesn't take up a lot of space, and has that nice carrying pouch. With AC and DC and amperage, this would be great for automotive repair, appliance repair, and as I said earlier, for RV, be great for systems that have AC and DC. I found it very easy to use. You just turn the knob to the right area, switch to the right mode, and take your readings. Now this does also a relative reading, so you could take a voltage, connect a load, and read the change in voltage after you connect a load. Now this does auto turn off. I can turn this to turn it off. Now this does also have a backlight. Let me turn my light off here. So on the side here, when this is on, we have that hold button. If we hold that down, it's going to turn that backlight on. So if you're working in the dark, that'll help you see the screen. So the screen's pretty easy to read head on. If I get to this angle, it kind of cuts out. It's not really a natural angle to read it at. Side to side, not too bad. It's mostly if I have it up like this. But it's as easy to read as any of these LCD type displays. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.